Okay.
All right, I'd like to call to order the City of Shaniko Special City Council meeting on May 26th. It is currently 5:21 on May 26th, 2026. I'd like to do a roll call here. Councilmember Brown, are you in attendance?
Present.
Councilmember Cagle, are you in attendance?
I'm here.
And we have two council members and the mayor's in attendance that by the charter, we have a quorum. I bring this meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance, please. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, the first item on the agenda is a resolution 2026-07, appointing Krista Miller interim recorder and assigning bank signers. The resolution number 2026-07, a resolution authorizing signers for the City of Shaniko accounts at First Interstate Bank. Whereas the City of Shaniko maintains bank accounts with First Interstate Bank for the transaction of city business, and whereas the City Council finds it necessary and appropriate to designate authorized signers for city banking transaction, and whereas Sarah Finkel, City Recorder, resigned effective immediately on May 11th, 2026, and whereas Krista Miller was sworn in as interim city recorder on May 11th, 2026. Now, therefore, the City of Shaniko resolves as follows. Section 1. The following individuals are hereby authorized as signers on all applicable City of Shaniko accounts maintained at First Interstate Bank. Krista Miller, interim clerk recorder. Pamela Brown, council president. Mark Haskett, mayor pro tem. Section 2, the authorized signers listed above are authorized to execute banking transactions and documents on behalf of the City of Shaniko in accordance with city policies and applicable law. Section 3, this resolution shall become effective immediately upon adoption. Do we have any discussion from Ms. Cagle on this? Councilmember Cagle, do you have any questions or comments on this resolution? Councilmember Brown, do you have questions or comments on this resolution?
I do not.
Ms. Miller, do you have any comments or questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to adopt this resolution, number 2026, a resolution authorizing signers for the City of Shaniko accounts at First Interstate Bank.
I move to approve resolution 2026-07 as presented.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. I've got a motion to adopt resolution 2026-07, a resolution authorizing signers for the City of Shaniko accounts at First Interstate Bank by Councilmember Brown, and I have a second from Councilmember Cagle. At this point, I would like to hold the vote on this. Councilmember Brown, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Cagle, how do you vote? Let the record show that this has passed. Resolution 2026-07 has passed with 2 yeas, 0 nays, and 0 abstentions. Next on the agenda, we have discussion on closing the schoolhouse fund. Ms. Miller, would you lead us on that?
Thank you, Mayor. Technically, it's not on the agenda. But as I was working through the budget, and this was in prior discussions, I found it necessary that in order to complete the budget, that this needs to be resolved, and I'm happy to read the resolution.
Please go ahead. Ms. Miller's going to read resolution 2026-04. This is a resolution closing the schoolhouse fund and transferring funds to the general fund beginning fiscal year 2026-2027.
Whereas the City of Shaniko has established a schoolhouse fund for specific purposes, and whereas the City Council has determined that the schoolhouse fund is no longer necessary or practical to maintain a separate fund, and whereas the City Council finds it appropriate to consolidate financial resources to improve efficiency, transparency, and administration of city funds. And whereas the schoolhouse fund was left negative 26,313 at the close of fiscal year 2024-25, and whereas the schoolhouse was leased to the Shaniko Music Sanctuary January 2026, and whereas the Shaniko Music Sanctuary paid 1 year's lease up front in the amount of $2,196, of which $996 was allocated to the water and sanitation funds and $1,200 to the schoolhouse funds. And whereas the negative schoolhouse fund balance as of May 25th, 2026 is negative 25,113. And whereas Oregon budget law requires funds to be zero balance prior to closing, and whereas Oregon budget law permits the transfer of fund balances between funds and authorized by the governing body, whereas the budget officer recommends a fund transfer to bring the schoolhouse fund to zero and close the fund. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Shaniko, Oregon. The City Council authorizes the transfer of $25,113 from the general fund to the schoolhouse fund number 5, or the actual remaining balance at the time of transfer as determined by the city's financial records. The city recorder is authorized to take all administrative actions necessary to complete the transfer, close the fund, and ensure proper accounting and reporting. All financial records shall reflect the closure of the schoolhouse fund and the transfer of the funds in accordance with Oregon budget law and generally accepted accounting principles. The schoolhouse fund is hereby closed effective the beginning of fiscal year 2026-27. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption and shall be implemented beginning fiscal year 26-27.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Do we have any comments or questions about this from Councilmember Brown?
No, none for me.
Councilmember Kay, any questions or comments? So it's my understanding that this schoolhouse fund has been in the negative for multiple years due to a fund transfer in 2021. Ms. Miller, is that what you said?
Fiscal year 21-22.
21-22.
And then again in 22-23.
So 21-22 and 22-23, the fund was borrowed from and was left in a negative balance, which is the situation we're in right now. I would entertain a motion to adopt this City of Shaniko Resolution 2026-04, which essentially gives us a path to closing the schoolhouse fund as read by Ms. Miller. And I would entertain a motion to accept this resolution.
I'd like to make that motion.
Councilmember Cagle has made the motion to adopt Resolution 2026-04. It's a resolution closing the schoolhouse fund and transferring funds to the general fund beginning fiscal year 2026-2027. Do I hear a second for that motion?
A second.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown has made a second. So Councilmember Brown has made a second on the motion to adopt Resolution 2026-04. This is a resolution closing the schoolhouse fund and transferring funds to the general fund beginning fiscal year 2026-2027. If there's no more questions or comments, I'll call for the vote on this. Councilmember Brown, how do you vote? Councilmember Cagle, how do you vote?
Same.
Aye. So let the record reflect that the resolution number 2026-04, a resolution closing the schoolhouse fund and transferring funds to the general fund beginning fiscal year 2026-2027, has passed with 2 yeas, 0 nays, and 0 abstentions. Thank you. Did we receive item 6 on the agenda is the appointment of budget committee members, if any applied. Ms. Miller, did you have anyone apply for this budget committee?
I did not.
You did not. Ms. Brown, Councilman Brown, did you have any?
I had somebody express interest, but they're unable to make this first meeting, so therefore,
Okay.
nobody.
Councilmember Cagle, has anyone expressed interest to you wanting to be on the budget committee? Okay. And do they need to
We talked about it a little bit.
All right, Tom, thank you, Councilmember Cagle. Ms. Miller, how would you like to proceed on the second party comments that we have two people that would like to be on this committee?
If they can be here by 6.
Okay. All right, if either one of those people can be here by 6, we will put you on the budget committee.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to item 7, which is adjournment. We're going to adjourn and take a short break before we start the City of Shaniko Council workshop meeting at 5:30,
No.
which is right. All right. Do we need form for this? Not officially. All right, so I'm going to call to order the City of Shaniko City Council Workshop agenda meeting, May 26, 2026. The time is 5:35. Bring us budget workshop order. Ms. Miller, would you like to discuss and provide an overview on this?
Thank you. So we won't be talking about any specific budget items. I just wanted to provide, I didn't know if we were going to have folks for budget committee or who might be here. So I just wanted to set, some like what you're looking for, some expectations of what it should look like, and beings that we don't have those folks, we don't particularly need to have that. So if there is specific, I can give you like the high level overview, which is the budget document does contain the budget message, and we would put committee members if we did get any folks, and this would not be a draft. This will be the formal version once it's adopted. Going into, this is a very high level overview of the finances and the projects that the city is working on. Next year, I do recommend starting a little bit earlier in the departments and what they need and that, but things we were out of time. This is great. You'll also see an FTE chart, which it should be required on all of your budget documents for personnel, even for the fire department and things. This will show SAFE and CIS, your volunteer hours, and I have marked volunteer hours and paid positions differently so that you know how that they're calculated across the positions and also across the funds. So as far as budget documents, what was not available in the last um, budget was cash on hand. And so I just want to set expectations for you guys going forward that you should always have cash on hand, because you won't end up in the same position, hopefully, that you were in to have to sell the historic building. I also added codes, and these don't have to be like -09 or -10, but I just wanted it to be known that when you are going to move funds, that you would, if a counselor is requesting a certain line item be moved or changed, they would say, I would like to take it from general fund 1 line -17, which is donations, so that there's a specific line item that they know that they are subtracting something from, and it's not maybe in the normal course of business. And it also sets up for like your invoices, they should be coded with the code that matches the line item. And I haven't got to the point of being able to make sure that these line up in QuickBooks, but I just wanted to give a space of where it should line up between the budget document, your QuickBooks, and any movement of funds requests from council or otherwise. Let's see, what else can I tell you about? Some of the, and I mean, no disrespect, you guys, at all. I just am letting you know some things. So there was pages that were missing. When you have these at the top, it will say LB 30 or LB 20. When you use these forms, there should be 3 of them in total per fund. And that will tell you what it's okay. It'll tell you like when you do the 30, you then move it over to unallocated funds. So we're looking at your resources, and then we're looking at requirements, and the requirements have 2 pages that are, one is allocated and one is not allocated. So these are things that not allocated means we have some money, we don't know exactly what we're going to do with it yet, but we need to account for it. And this is also where you put your interfund transfers. And then we have a different form called the LB10, which is for your smaller funds. You can put everything short-wise on one fund. So you see the resources, the requirements on that same form. And those are for things, maybe like the schoolhouse fund or something that you just don't do a lot with. I did add a historical fire on that LB10 to get rid of some of those turnouts and every little line item for the different types of grants that were being sought, so that we're still abiding by budget law by putting those in there, but we're getting rid of those, and we're starting now with the LB20s and 30s. And I do recommend that the fire grant be tracked ferociously.
Yes.
Let's see, what else can I tell you? To not get into the specifics so that we don't violate, budget. I'm not going to talk specifics, but at the back of that, I also put the different years that I went back to the audit, and you could see over the course of the years kind of where some things went topsy-turvy. And it's not a complete picture, but I also try to put like based off of like audit report, because the audit report and the accounting don't match either. So that's also very problematic. So I had to go with the audit because you filed it with the state.
Yes.
So that's it was kind of hard to pick and choose, what to take, but I went with the audit. And what I do suggest also is that maybe taking a look at the audit report, and making sure that the person that filed it, you just double set of eyes. Not that they're doing anything wrong or malicious, but just a second set of eyes, because you probably meant that. So anyways, this document here took quite a bit of trying to put the puzzle pieces together. But when I look at the 22-23 year, I highlighted this one in purple because I'm assuming something there, and the rest of the accounting is based off of that assumption. So I tried to kind of leave some breadcrumbs in here. And then the rest of it is the Excel sheet. So just kind of wanted to, like I said, if there was anybody else here that maybe has or hasn't been on the committee, to just kind of give a lowdown about, you can't change the things that council has already passed as far as job descriptions and things like that, but they can and the money for those things. But if there's projects, or they don't think that there's going to be $2,500 in donations or something, they definitely could make those changes.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Miller. We appreciate all the hard work you put into this. Councilmember Brown, do you have any follow-up comments on Ms. Miller's report?
No, thank you for bringing attention to the LB 10, 20, and 30. That was new information for me. Sure.
Councilmember Cagle, before we adjourn this part of the meeting and then re-adjourn at 6 o'clock, do you have any comments or questions about this?
No, I don't.
Okay. Right, at this point, I'm going to adjourn this part of our meeting. We will reconvene at 6 p.m. for the City of Shaniko Budget Committee meeting. This meeting's adjourned.
Hey, got you on speakerphone again here. Good.
All right, at this time, I'm going to call to order the City of Shaniko Budget Committee meeting. It's May 26, 2026 at 6 p.m. Calls me to order. First item here is to receive the budget message. Ms. Miller.
Thank you. Members of the Budget Committee, it is my honor to present you with the budget for fiscal year 26-27. I have been with Shaniko less than a month. However, I believe the budget message will put the city back on track with managing the budget. My emphasis has been on completing the picture from 2021 when the last audit was conducted. The primary focus of is keep records and not losing little revenue in place and provide room for improvement and growth. I have also focused on a path to transparency to ensure public trust. The main challenge is to keep the person in the recorder's position to ensure tracking of funds. You will find the City Council approved job descriptions, 2 of which are part-time paid positions. My hopes is that by next year, there will be a path to pay the water master. Focusing on cleaning up old outdated line items, you will find a historical fire fund sheet that is there for compliance, not function. There has been a sale of 2 properties to supplement the budget. Unfortunately, this issue was created fiscal year 21-22. My recommendation is to close the schoolhouse fund by transferring money from the general fund to the schoolhouse fund to clear the $25,113 balance, of which council just approved a few moments ago. Oregon budget law does not allow us to start the fund with a negative balance. The general fund will be slightly less than anticipated last year. However, I have submitted for a .gov website and service provider for a true government website where all documents will be kept. This site will assist the residents of Shaniko to view these on their mobile devices. Further, the city will engage in attorney and city engineer services that are cost-friendly. I recommend that the city utilize a swag shop, essentially in order to generate more revenue, have city logo swag available for purchase. This is noted as activity sales in the tourism fund with a portion going to the general fund. For the council, attending conferences and training will keep them updated on grants, legislation, and best practices. Supporting these efforts will ensure they are serving the residents the best possible. Planning grants through Department of Land Conservation will assist in technical assistance and carve a path for growth. Currently, they are assisting with a grant to update the comprehensive plan. This will continue through next year. The council has approved a resolution to keep funds not currently being used at the LGIP, local government investment pool. This will allow interest to be earned in their respective funds. This is typo found under interest in Excel sheet. The water grants through Business Oregon are already in place and are due to be completed this next fiscal year. Reporting and testing continue with accuracy. The Oregon State Fire Marshal Staffing Grant has already been awarded and documents submitted for the $33,000. The fire department will focus heavily on grants, certifications, equipment, and vehicle acquisition. The Oregon State Street Fund is new. The council prioritized a mechanism for funding streets while meeting compliance with the apportionments they received through the state of Oregon. The sanitation fund allocates the public works maintenance person to be paid. It is a combined position that can assist with maintenance of public buildings as well as maintain the restroom. The tourism fund will look slightly different as some of the funds are used to assist paying the public works maintenance person to clean the restrooms that are used by tourists. To assist with the fund, activity sales are shared with the general fund. Shaniko has immense opportunities to bring events to the city and will support the transient lodging tax, and it will support the transient lodging tax in the general tourism fund. All in all, it will take a few years to rate the budget reporting with consistency, but I do believe the budget deficits can be righted with heavy grant management. It has been my honor to serve you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. So at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing on budget items only. Ms. Brown, do you have discussion, comments on what you've looked over at the budget?
Where should we start with this? We went over it earlier.
Mayor, and
Yes, Ms.
so
Miller.
the hearing is just for public comment.
Thank you.
So you will want to open that up after we've had our discussion.
Oh. Gotcha. So you don't want to move on to section 2 yet until we discuss the budget. Gotcha. Okay. Well,
And I don't know what, if you have historically gone like line by line, fund by fund, however you would like to do it. I'm happy to read anything aloud or just answer questions.
We have previously gone line by line, but I think the workshop meeting really helped take a look. And I know that counselors have reviewed this in advance, which hasn't always been the case. So perhaps going the questions or concerns route might be an idea. I'll leave that to you.
that sounds fine to me. Does anyone, let's start with you. Do you have any, Ms. Councilmember Brown, do you have any questions, comments, concerns, or what you've looked over?
No, I don't.
Joe?
No, I remember us going through this pencil and paper about what, 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago when we all talked about it.
That was,
So-
that was with Deb Holbrook.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, okay, that's right. It was. Anyway, yeah, this is a copy of that printout we scratched, right?
This is,
Or is this a more updated?
this
one?
is a more in-depth, accurate, and
Okay,
truly reflecting of what the position the city's
Alright.
in.
all right.
If I may, maybe
Please.
this will help. So again, kind of carrying over from the workshop, we're looking at page 1 and general fund. We started out, these are actual historicals at 57,000, and then your next preceding year at 39,600. What the council adopted did not have available cash on hand. Now, again, the cash available in the general fund for this year is based off of what last year's accounting that I could complete the picture with. This may not be 100% accurate, and you may need to do a supplemental budget as we get more into the accounting and start sorting out more of what has transpired this year. This may be a little inaccurate, but again, you can do a supplemental budget. So we have available cash on hand at 11,504. Let's see, point out just some. You'll see interest. That's that LGIP. A lot of things are the same. What is new is event permits. That is something that should go on our fee schedule that we did not put on there. But it is another revenue source that you guys should consider. If somebody wants to rent the town for an event, then, like what you had here this last weekend, potential revenue. Charges for service is going to be things like copies, budget documents, anything that the administration charges for. I did put the proceeds of the sale of the property in here. If you want to allocate it differently, I know that you did do a state of emergency, which I didn't indicate in the budget message, but it's basically paying off the past 2 bills. And again, if you need to go and have a supplemental budget, you can do that too. And other than that, a lot of the other stuff is still in there from the year before. Activity sales, I did add, and then we'll move on to the resources on page 2. I neglected to make the city recorder. And indeed, that's it on the next one. I apologize for that. This was a lot in a short amount of time. if the budget committee would like to put a number in there, they are welcome to do that. And I can get you that number if you
What?
did add it up. It would be about 1492. Be 1492 plus payroll taxes would be about 100.
And what line item is that one?
That would be on page 2, under city recorder. Take us to 1592, which means we need to make an adjustment. We could take your contracted services down.
That makes the most sense to me.
Which would make it 3507.2.
Yeah, that's a sensible shift for me, especially because it's in a way a version of contracted service. Okay.
So that would be a motion.
Yeah, I'd make a motion in Form LB 30 of the general fund to move 1592 out of the contracted services line item. Code 20, line 21 up to the city recorder, which is line 2.
Do I hear a second on Councilmember Brown's motion?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Cagle. All in favor of moving that?
Yeah.
Aye. Councilmember Brown, let the record show that that motion passed 3 yeas, 0 nays, 0 abstentions. All right, so we're moving that amount from the contracted to the recorder spot.
Question. Are you a voting member here?
Tiger. Oh no. I don't know. Am I on the budget committee?
You're a presiding officer, and I just want to make sure.
Normally I wouldn't be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maintaining the position of facilitator might make sense for you.
Okay.
I would still, if we had a tie, I would
Okay.
vote. Okay, Councilmember Cagle, do you have any questions or comments or thoughts or on the budget?
No, I don't. I'm actually really impressed with it as it's written out.
It strikes me that you are probably one of our main public works people. So having some of this, having the public works as a paid position or compensated at some point would affect you. And so
Yeah.
I didn't know if
Yeah.
that was something that you wanted to have a comment on. Joe?
Yeah.
Thank you, Councilmember. Joe, do you have any questions, comments,
No,
thoughts?
Nothing. Everything seems to be copacetic.
Mhm. Ms. Miller, do you want to proceed any further with
Yes,
anything?
thank you.
Oh.
So page 3, we'll see the interfund transfers. Being that your street fund is new, you need a little bit of something in there to get it going. The 3,200, I propose to move into that, and then your property taxes are spread out. So we're sending 4,500 to the fire department. And when the transient lodging tax comes in, it will come into the general fund, and then we'll move quarterly into its tourism fund.
What, if any action is the city able to take when people aren't paying their property tax? There are people in town that property owners, both absentee owners and local owners that have not paid their property tax in multiple years. Is that something that we just don't get any money because they haven't paid?
Mhm.
What resource, what,
You can put a lien against their property.
is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's a little bit of a process. So you'll have to weigh how much you're going to get versus how much it's going to cost you to get it. But that'll get, you do it a couple of times and then people will start paying, I think. That's what I would do. Working with the attorney, maybe through the first one, kind of get the lay of the land, and then if there are others.
The big one is the Pamplin properties that it's a pattern of keeping it, of not paying the property tax and then taking it into foreclosure and paying the minimum to get it out. And then they start that process over again. I believe there's hundreds of thousands of dollars in arrears that they owe. So, and that doesn't all go, obviously doesn't all go to the city of
Right.
Shaniko, but there's a lot of organizations, state, county, and city, that are not receiving any benefit from, and I believe that's all the Pamplin property.
Well, and also again, keeping really good records on the accounting. So let's say when property changes hands or there is any movement that way, the lien searches that come to the city, you would look back and so let's say there's a property with some cabins on it and they're going to sell this property. A lien search will come to the city and you would look up, do they have any back taxes? Do they owe any back water? Things like that. And they're forced to pay out of the sale of the property. So the lien searches are really important.
Because I mean, at some point, the Pamplin properties are going to be sold. So if we could establish a lien on that, asking for all those back taxes. And so they wouldn't be able to sell the property. If we didn't do that, they would be able to sell the property without paying us.
Right.
No, they still have to do a lien search.
But if we don't put the lien on the property, then they wouldn't have to pay us the back taxes
Yeah.
if they.
No, the title company sends over an inquiry and says, hey, we're going to close on some property. We need you to double check this.
Mhm.
And then you go into your records and that's where you find out how much is owed on things. And then you send it back and then you get paid. You don't have to have a lien for that
Gotcha.
process.
Gotcha.
But if you do have a lien, there are certain priorities. Let's say somebody has dumped a massive amount of like waste and stuff, and they're just going to leave it there. And then maybe the county and the DEQ and whoever in the state is all got their hands on this piece of property. And I don't know right offhand what the hierarchy is, but there's a way for the city to be at the top of the hierarchy, where normally you're at the bottom. So, like I said, kind of getting the lay of the land through the process. Maybe using the attorney for the first one, and then the person that's in this position to really understand that position, and because this person could do that, so you don't need to keep paying attorneys for it.
So do we have any other thoughts from the public? Does we still in the? Oh, have we? Yeah, we've opened the public hearing. That's what we're doing.
No,
We have not.
no, we're on the fire. We're on page 4. Oh, and I was going to share my screen, but nobody is on here anyway. So let me be. Yeah. Okay, so the fire fund, Councilor Markfort did send over a budget for the fire department, which is what I went off of. Again, the fire fund historical, we're not even really gonna look at that. We're gonna start at page 5.
Yeah.
And that is where I got the items that, there wasn't a lot of how we're gonna get the revenue, but a lot of items that was wish list items. So, now we're going to page 6. And, I'm not really sure, like, are the firefighters, being paid like personnel services because they're reported?
So it's a volunteer position.
Right.
Only during fire season from May to September to the beginning of October do we have monies, the fire grant, and that is specifically for paying our volunteers
Mhm.
during fire season. And one of the things that we do is, we maintain the department, clean up, and then the fire department people will go around town and clean up grass and keep the city property cut short, water stuff, make
We
sure.
drill.
Yeah, we just make sure we drill, so we make sure we have a defendable position in town. And that's what that entire fire grant is, that's what that's for, is for paid volunteers.
Yes. So,
It's not for buying equipment, it's not for maintaining the building, it's not, it's very specifically, and our reporting last summer was pretty solid, I thought.
Yeah, and it's under personnel anyhow.
Personnel. and I must have been so exhausted yesterday. I am so sorry. Again, firefighters are not budgeted for, so we need to put 30,000 because the 3 goes into the admin.
Administration,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
And then we'll take it out of contracted services,
yes.
20,000. I apologize. This,
You can come over.
You're on page 5?
we're on page 6.
6.
Is there an admin line item on page 6 or is it moving somewhere else?
Next, page 7, we have the admin. I got that part in there. Interfund transfer 3,000 to the general fund.
So do we need to move anything or is it just a clerical error there?
No, we need to change, motion to add 30,000 to the, personnel and contracted services to 20,000.
I'm showing 35 here. Oh, that's
Give me a second to catch up. Sure. Are we straddled between pages 6 and 7?
Yeah, 7, down at the interfund transfer has the 3,000.
And
6 has the personnel at the top.
okay. So are we looking to have the personnel be 30K?
Yep.
yes.
And then the contracted services.
From 50 to 20.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to modify the personnel services from 35,000 to 30K on line 2, page 6. And then contracted services, changing that $50,000 number down to $20,000 on line 19, page 6.
All right, I've got a motion from Councilmember Brown to make that adjustment. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Cagle seconded. All in favor of making that change?
Aye.
Councilmember Cagle, Councilmember Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Walter.
Mhm.
Let the record show that we passed that 3 yeas, 0 nays, 0 abstentions. Ms. Miller, please continue.
Thank you. Okay, so we're at page 8, water fund. Available cash on hand, 7,762. charges for service. So I think that based off of the accounting, this should be accurate, but it may be a little bit more. I was trying to be conservative between what had happened in 24 and 25 and what is going on now. And you have the hotel and, so, and then Business Oregon grant, what I found was this is what is left to get reimbursed in the grant.
Sounds about right.
And then we'll go to page 9. I did it again. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh, the utility billing. I feel like it didn't save or something because I know I did all of these calculations for all of these positions, but they're not there.
Take your time.
So I do. I have 150 on this one. I wonder if it's in
Oh, a different.
the other document because sometimes if you don't hit the save button, it prints out like the last saved thing. I have city recorder on this one at 150. So all of that is already calculated in the
So if you just flip forward, we're looking at the same idea, but just
we're
vertically.
looking at the budget document, not the Excel sheet.
Okay.
Yeah, the yeah, why is it in there and not the other one? Interesting. It's not there for the firefighter. Anyways, just to make it right, it's 150 for utility billing.
150.
Yep. And that may need to be adjusted over time. Again, not really knowing how automated we can make things. $50, that makes 75,166. So that makes the end of that sheet at 75,166. And then we have 7,966 over here. Just have to 769. March. We have three different, no, we have two different numbers here and then here. $1,800. Where would you like to put $1,800? Counselor Ron?
I'd like to put it in testing.
Yeah, that's a good idea,
Yeah.
especially since we're behind as far as the testing hasn't been paid since 2021. Is that right?
I think it's more than $200 per year.
I think that was missing a zero. Because I think it was missing a zero. So that's probably exactly what.
Might be where the deficit, where the overage is.
Yep.
Do you want to keep it at 2,000 or perhaps look
Well,
at 1,800?
1,800.
And then so looking, just to clarify,
Yeah.
looking at testing, before we motion.
Mhm.
Testing being $1,800, which makes sense to me. We're still looking at the city reporter being $150. Does that still bring the total to 75166, or are we?
That brings it to 76966.
Right, perfect. Okay. So I'll make the motion, to have the following changes reflected on page 9 here, the LB 30, the water fund. Let's designate the city recorder utility billing at $150. And then going down to line number 12, this is code number 28, testing should read $1,800.
All right, Councilmember Brown has made the motion to update that testing number. Do I hear a second? Mr. Walter?
Yeah.
All right, we've got a second by Mr. Walter. All in favor of making that adjustment, Mr. Walter? Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle? All right, let the record show that you voted 3 yeas, 0 nays, and 0 abstentions to update that testing amount. Ms. Miller?
That takes us to sanitation. 23-24, we have beginning starting fund of 4,332. The next proceeding is 11,221 to 19,099. This fund is doing fairly well. Charges for service. Now, I would suggest when we have this maintenance person that maybe we're keeping a little more, how many extra bags did somebody, put out so that we are collecting all of the revenue for that.
Do we have, I don't believe we have the limit, do we?
We do, and we can visit that at a later date.
That will help with, the pickup charges. So the dumpster area upgrade, I closed that line item and I do believe I put it in the next one over, but the restroom fee,
What page you on?
sorry, page 11.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure how many people are paying, not paying, again, because of I didn't want to over promise on that part. Credit card processing, hopefully automation, but also you'll have to charge either 3% or 1.5%, depending on what folks choose. So that is new. As far as the next page, 12, yeah, look, I got the city reporter in there. And see, maybe that was supposed to be 15. It doesn't. Anyways, we can, it's split up over the FTEs. You're welcome to change that. I just worry a lot about with the billing that takes up a lot of time.
Mhm.
A lot of processing people's cards, a lot of checks, a lot of accounting, and making sure that people are paying. So I didn't want to over or underestimate that position. Your public works person being responsible for cleaning the restroom. We left stipend there as historical.
Mhm.
We don't need to go forward with that unless that's something council wants to change later. Your dumpster charges, we're going to call that contracted service because you can now put many different types of contracted services in there.
Mhm.
Again, insurance, legal fees, maintenance, which is your formerly repairs and upgrades. I know that's not a lot. Again, you're paying somebody now, so it kind of changes things a little bit. Close the shipping and delivery and the pickup and the reset and all of the little things that
Yeah.
need to have all little
Because you're
things.
just putting that in the contracted
Yeah.
services overall.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But we're keeping that for historical. When those fall off, you can just get rid of them.
Mhm.
Credit card processing fees, billing software, Again, more automation. And then vehicle acquisition. This vehicle acquisition is spread over across a couple of funds. So hopefully you get a truck or something for water, for sanitation, for
I like that.
um yeah, property acquisition and upgrade. So whether you acquire property for a transfer station or whether you just need to, fix some things, your capital outlay life that is more than, I think they say 10 years. And then also website acquisition and management right across a couple funds to help with, transparency, public notices, people can pay online. And there's your dumpster area upgrade. So then page 13, we have, in case you don't have enough funds for maintenance or clerk, there's $600 in extra funds. And then your operating contingency. So when you go to use this operating contingency, we don't have a plan for it, but council will then, want to move it for some project or something like that. That's also why the codes are helpful. And I didn't get all of them in there, but I will by the final draft. And then reserve for future expenditure. Some of these funds could be useful to have a reserve fund. I was going to do a water and a fire. Those things you're saving for capital projects. Just not enough time this time around, but trying to get some money down there so that you're saving for the big thing. So, or that, if you get into a situation where, a disaster happens, at least you have this money, but you will need to have council action to move that money from reserve. And then that takes us to the next page. The schoolhouse fund. So this fund will be closed. This was what was budgeted for in the 25-26. Clearly, as you can see, the money just wasn't there. And so I don't think we need to really go on about that a lot.
Page 15.
Page 15, tourism. Available cash on hand is estimated to be at $4,639. We'll also be putting interest in this account from the LGIP. Transferred in from the general fund is $4,200. They will get a portion of the activity sales. Donations. I don't know who's donating to a tourism fund, but it was there. So put a little bit of something there. Insurance, it doesn't probably require a lot of insurance, but you guys are having events and things. So, and then vendors, I didn't really know what this was, but we allocated what you did last year. So 10,314. The next page.
The vendors are just a charge for anybody who steps up on a city street for an event. I think we charge $25 per
Right,
weekend.
which is an income, not an expenditure.
Right.
So it should be listed like that, right? I mean, in use of the historical data, was that it was listed like that. Just 400, because that's 400. That's a budget item, not a.
That was a resource, not a requirement. That was income.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I assumed that's what it was for, but we didn't have it on the fee schedule, and I didn't see anywhere else where we were charging or there was anything for anything. Yeah, okay. So these again, a lot of the public works work is going to come out of this fund because of cleaning the restroom and the attention that needs. Again, you can also when you do have, sorry, 16. The public works and maintenance 2240, and I think the FTEs, the majority of it is out of this fund, and that and sanitation. If you have events and you need somebody to go, it can be an option on your application. Will you take care of the trash? Do you want us to take care of the trash? if we take care of it, then we're paying somebody,
Mhm.
and then they're paying for that somebody. So you would be getting your money back by charging for that service. Again, payroll taxes and processing. I noticed that TLT taxes to the state weren't a thing, and I don't know that they've been being paid. So I'm gonna have to find out if you guys are behind on that. I'm just going to assume for this budget year that you have, and that this budget year for these amount of taxes that you're bringing in, only 100 goes to the state. So, and then promotion activities, formerly Shaniko Days. So we don't want to limit it to just one event. We want all year round promotion.
Mhm.
And money for the audit and activity sales,
Yep.
website acquisition and management. Going to be a pretty big focus too. And then next page 17, that takes us to 10,314 and the end of the tourism fund. And then the Oregon State Street Fund, page 18. It starts out with no cash on hand. This is a new fund. But I did move the apportionment from the general fund to here where it is appropriate, and a little bit of interest, transferred that $3,200 from the general fund. New apportionment, I did check what is projected for this year.
Cool.
And the allotment grant, again, $250,000. Should you get that, you will need an audit. And even with some of the other things going on, you might be pushing that threshold anyway. So taxes in this fund are estimated to be about $1,000. Again, I spread some of the property taxes around because they're for general use, and that way, hopefully, you have some money for potholes or some hot patch, or a little bit of something to get this fund going. But and then for requirements, basically what we had up front, just some operating cost supplies, a little bit of vehicle acquisition, maintenance worker, and your SCA grant, and which is the boardwalk. And if you get another grant, 10,000. So 265,900. Oh, I got 940. What happened? Thank you for your graciousness. Two, 6, 4, 900. We need to add 1,040.
Probably a convenient place to put it.
Supplies. Especially with the price of fuel and delivery going up.
Mm.
That's all our supplies come in delivery. That'd be a good place to put it. Hey, Councilmember Cagle, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How are we doing on supplies for the it's just- okay, never mind. We gravel.
Contracted services might be a consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make it 1290.
Yeah. And then that leaves the total requirements the same.
Yep.
Great. I'm gonna make a motion for that change on the Oregon feeding back. Bear with me for a second. I have to go into the poll.
Hey, I'm sorry.
No, sorry about that. I was just looking at that last spreadsheet, the Oregon State Street Fund, and I make the motion that on line 18, we're gonna update the contracted services proposed budget from 250 and make the change to 1,290.
Do I hear a second on Councilmember Brown's motion to move the funds to line 18? For the contracted services.
Just for clarity, it's just to increase the funds.
Yeah. All right, all in favor, Mr. Walter?
Yeah.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Aye.
All right, let the record show that we made that adjustment with 3 yeas, 0 nays, and 0 abstentions. Okay. All right, so I guess at this point, I'm going to open the public hearing for budget items only. We have any comments, questions from the public? Do we have anyone calling in?
I do not see anybody else online.
Nobody in the gallery?
Nobody.
All right, well then I'm going to close the public hearing. It seems like we've been making changes to the budget items as we went along here.
Mm-hmm.
There, Councilmember Brown, do you have any comments or questions on making changes to the budget items?
I don't, and if there's no other further comment, I'll make a motion. So if you want to get a finger on the pulse.
I'd entertain a motion to adopt. You want to make a? Yeah, I would entertain a motion to approve the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget documents as presented with the changes.
With the changes noted.
Yes.
Yes, I make that motion.
All right, Councilmember Cagle, do you second? Yeah. Okay. All in favor of adopting the budget for fiscal year 2026-2027 as presented with the changes discussed previously? Mr. Walter?
Yeah.
Councilmember Brown?
I vote yes.
Councilmember Cagle? All right, so let the record reflect that we have, by a vote of 3 yeas, 0 nays, and 0 abstentions, we have approved the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget document as presented with the changes included. All right. Well, without any other comments or questions, I'm going to recess until June 3rd, 2026 at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.